When you think of Sweden, try and tell me you don't think of an icy cold streets, the snow, the smorgasbord, all that stuff. Forget that. It's really, really hot here, approaching 100 degrees. We're all melting, the racers are melting, but the racing's going to be just as hot. Round one of racing, Pro Stock, the man leading the championship, the Wolf, Nicholas Anderson with the Firebird. #1 qualifier here. And you can see from the T-shirts and shorts brigade out in the grandstands, it really is summertime here in Sweden. While Nicholas back fresh from the shock of defeat in Finland by Tommy Liner. That won't have gone down too well, but I think Nicholas will be pleased to know Tommy Liner not here in Sweden. This first race then, Kjetil Hauger from Norway. And Kjetil competing with the Mustang, as ever, the Arnett car. Always a strong qualifier and has been a contender in Pro Stock for many years. Ronnie from Nicholas's crew, getting it back onto those thick black rubber lines he just laid down in the burnout. This is the end of participation by the crew. Now you see, once the door is shut, everything handed over to the driver. Who's going to be the first into stage? Don't forget the cars roll into pre-stage. Like the pre-stage bulb, 8 inches further forward onto the start line. Ready to race, waiting for the tree to run down. All of the yellows, then the green. The perfect reaction time, 0.4 of a second. Into pre-stage goes Anderson. Hauger follows him in, both cars sit there. Hauger nudges forward, there goes Anderson. On the green wall, look at that, nothing to choose between the cars. And Anderson already at half track, pulling it out the back, takes the win in round one. That was really, really close from where I was. Well, let's take a look in slow motion, look at that. 1,000th of a second quicker, Anderson away from the tree. Add to that 1/10 of a second down the quarter mile, and you're looking at the man leading the championship taking the win. This is Jari Konala, again, long-time competitor from Sweden, of course, with the Dodge Avenger. And Jari has himself a race on his hands. The young lady, Lina Nyström from Finland. Well, Lina made it to the last round in Finland, has decided to continue competing, backing on the car from toy manufacturers Mattel. Aberg's Dodge, of course, as ever, supporting this car of Jari Konala. Well, who can race a Pro Stock car? Not just anyone will be sold one of these super chassis from the States. You have to be an accredited racer and already have good form. Otherwise, the chassis builders have so much to lose in reputation. The driver's performance reflects directly on the chassis builders. Well, this, I think, is going to be quite a race. Jari Konala, you have to say, is going to be the favourite. But Lina Nyström, well, she's going to put the pressure on the man from Sweden. Into pre-stage go the cars. You can hear how cammy those engines sound. Oh, well, red light for Lina Nyström. Pushed it too far. Tried to get away before the green. That was her only chance, really. And Jari Konala gratefully takes the win. You can see there, 0.26. Well, that's just 1/1500ths of a second too soon. Hands the win to Konala, but she had to try and put the pressure on. Now we take a look at one of the favourites for the championship for 99. First of all, has to get round this man, Jakob Ferrer with the white Firebird. And Jakob's become a little bit of a force to be reckoned with. Semcon sponsors on the car, and a 1999 Firebird is the bodywork. Powered, strangely enough, by a Michael Malmgren engine, and new onboard computers for 99. Let's take a little look at Michael himself, one of the most professional racers in any of our categories. had a big chance in Finland to take great strides forward in the Pro Stock Championship, but didn't just manage to pull it off, but still, if you remember, ended up a smiley, happy man at the end of racing. A red light in the final with Tommy Liner. Okay, this is going to be Malmgren's first test of the day. He lines up with Jakob Ferrer, and again, the driver's nerve comes into it. Very tense on the start line. Jakob Ferrer, second man into pre-stage. By Malmgren, well, is he going to be first in? No, it's Ferrer. Malmgren follows him in, and the green, well, nothing to choose, but that looked a very good line from Mike Malmgren. Can he hang on? The answer is yes. Well, he'll be very pleased with that. Ferrer not easy to get round, and look at that, Malmgren back with the reaction times of 46 to a 49, couple that to a 7.2. The Panasonic man takes the win in the first round through to the semi-finals. You can see number one qualifier Nicholas Anderson has a bye run in there. Jari Connella going to be racing Michael Malmgren.
Now all the professional classes in drag racing use these to slow them down, parachutes. Particularly important here at Mantorp Park Raceway as the runoff is so short. The driver pulls the chutes inside the car, and the first thing that comes out the back, if you take a look down here, is the drogue chute. This pulls the rest of the parachute out, and that's attached to the back of the car by the webbing, and it helps to decelerate the car. The driver then applies the brakes to bring the car to a stop.
Here at Mantorp Park, the quarter mile consists of an uphill stretch. This is a good thing as it loads the fuel engines. As the drivers come over the brow of the hill into the shutdown area, they're faced with far less braking distance. This can easily catch unaware drivers out, sending them straight into the gravel pit, which is exactly what happened to Tommy Liner last year.
Top fuel drag racer Gordy Bonin from the States found a neat way to relax, also gave Russ and Jasmine a bit of a taste of the life of the ocean waves out here on the lakes and rivers around Stockholm. This has to be one cool way to spend a weekend. And of course, for Gordy Bonin, more used to the hurly-burly of the US professional drag racing circuit, he found himself well at home among the Scandinavians.
What a way to relax.
Well, for a change, we're looking at two engines propelling Gordy along, 1,500 horsepower. He's more used to one engine and over 5,500 horsepower. But let me tell you, 40 miles an hour on the sea looks an awful lot quicker. And then there's always the nightlife. On to the more serious business of drag racing. Well, Gordy qualified number 3 here at Mantorp and had a real race on his hands. Rookie to top fuel, but certainly not rookie to fuel. Robin Reed, the latest in a long line of the Reed family into a top fuel car. Well, Robin, the number 4 qualifier here, and all the latest carbon fibre gear atop that engine. Robin, more than anyone else in the UK, I would guess, knows his way round a fuel engine. Of course, a top-notch crew to help him get there. What isn't going to be easy for Robin, though, is getting round the man in the left-hand lane. Gordy Bonin, expatriate Canadian, has raced in the States for over 20 years at the top-notch national events. The first man in funny cars over 240 earned him the tag 240 Gordy. Here we go then, the tension mounts both cars in pre-stage. Robin Reed moves forward, Gordy Bonin in stage, and the green Bonin was away. Wow, look at that, something blowing on the car. Robin Reed goes by, what an upset, and takes the win. Everything going well to half track. And look at that, you can see that big Hemi dissolving itself. There goes the blower belt. Robin Reed has passed a 5.73 to take the win. Let's go on to our next quarter-final, and this pit's reigning champion Barry Sheebles the wins car. At last, everything staying together for Barry. Qualified in at number 5. Not as perfect as Runa and the team would like it, but Barry has this man, Tommy Happinen, in the first round. New paint scheme on the car. And of course, Finland's Tommy qualified in at number 2. A very, very hard competitor to get round indeed. But has Barry and the team got everything together now? Is this going to be where Mr. Sheevels starts taking a march on the championship? He's the first into pre-stage. Waits there for Tommy to roll forward. Tommy in pre-stage. Who's going to be the first to stage? Barry first. Tommy follows him at the green. Oh, look at that. Once again, Barry's car goes up in smoke. Overpowers the track. Tommy goes through and takes the win with a 5.24 for Finland. Well, great disappointment for the wins team again. Take a look at this. A quick ride with Al Jackson, the number 1 qualifier, has a bye run in the first round. Will power it hard over the first 60 feet, as you'd see. Clicks it off. He'll have some data for the computer and save engine parts as well.
Barry, we're all gutted. Another frustrating weekend. What happened?
Well, basically, Friday we had a magneto switch short out and we weren't able to fire the car up, so we missed a qualifying session there. And yesterday, on Saturday, we were towing the car back and we hit some debris on the return road and knocked the sump bung out. So the tank had to be re-welded overnight, which is a difficult job for a tank that's got nitromethane in it as well. So that took a long time, so we missed another qualifying session there. And went out today, and the guys are working really hard. The problem we've got is we're producing too much horsepower and finding it very difficult to get the horsepower down to the track.
That sets up our semi-finals. Al Jackson and Robin Reed. Tommy Happinen with a bye run into the final. The first semi-final of Pro Stock. Nicholas Anderson with a bye run. Again, you've seen the options open to the drivers. It's either go for it if you're unsure of the way the car is performing, or click it off at half track, get the information for the computer, and be kind to engine parts. It has always been said that Pro Stock, the most expensive class in drag racing to take part in, the attrition on parts is very, very high indeed. And when the opportunity arises to save some of those parts, well, you can count on it that Nicholas is going to be one of the men in that school of thought. Here we go, a bye run for the man leading the championship. Squirts it off the line, a chance for you to see on a solo run just how sleek those cars are. Well, Nicholas takes no chance, gets lane choice in the final, he hopes, with a 7.16. Now then, this race is going to have a big bearing on the outcome of the championship. Mike Malmgren is closest to Nicholas Anderson, and standing between him and a final spot is Jari Connolly. I think it's been a year of mixed fortunes for both of these drivers. Michael Malmgren has all the technology in there with him in the Panasonic car, but for Jari Connolly, he hasn't been to a final round yet in this year's championship. Malmgren seems to have everything back together, been working on reaction times, and of course, as you've already seen, these races in Pro Stock depend so much on the driver's reaction away from the start line. If you're running anything slower than a 0.45 reaction time in Pro Stock, then you've given your opponent an instant advantage. He's that amount of time closer to the finish line, and don't forget, in drag racing, the first to the finish line takes the win. That's what it's all about. Go before the green and you pull a red light. The pressure really is on these drivers to perform on the start line, and I don't think anyone this year has felt the pressure more than Michael Malmgren. Krista rolls him up to the line. It's all up to the drivers now. Jari Connolly into pre-stage. Michael Malmgren follows him. First into stage 8, Connolly. Malmgren rolls forward, and the green, well, nothing to choose. But look look at this. Jari Koller at half-track is out by at least a good and hangs onto it. Takes the win. I'd like to see the story of that. A 42 for Connolly. Malmgren, oh dear, falls off with the reaction. A .50, and look at that, only 200ths of a second in the time, but 2 car lengths at the finish line. Connolly into the final to race Nicholas Anderson.
This is a back wheel from the back of Nicholas Anderson's Pro Stock car. The first thing you can see is that it's a slick for maximum traction. They run these tyres at about £5 per square inch, and a set of tyres like this will last for 1 meeting. The white flash that you see on the side of the tyres is to allow the crew to see if the tyre is slipping on the track, and they can adjust the clutch accordingly.
We look deep into the eyes of Jari Koller, the Dodge always in the thick of the action. How does he view his crack at the man leading the championship?
He got the lane choice and he ran 760 last run. And my reactions time be good, but let's see what happens.
The Wolf. Nicholas Anderson has proved over the last season and a half he is definitely the man to beat.
It's been very tough. You know, Jari, he is very good on the start line, so he's speedy reaction time, and my car is faster, so I take it cool and give him a match.
This is it then, the final here in Sweden. The burnouts going through the ritual of heating those rear tyres. Let's take an unusual perspective on the burnout. Right along with Nicholas Anderson in the Firebird, and you can see the kind of job the driver has to do. Just before the final then, let's have a word with European drag racing promoter Keith Bartlett.
Home final, both Swedes on their home track. They've run very well all the season, but Nicholas Anderson, he's just driving the best I've ever seen him drive. The car's running well. Conclusive win, Nicholas Anderson.
This is Jonas Larsson, team owner and crew chief for Nicholas Anderson. Has to be very, very pleased indeed with the way the season has gone so far. Still just that little feeling of Tommy Liner in the background. We'll try and forget that for now. Jari Koller is what stands in front of Nicholas Anderson, taking the win here at Mantorp. Well, you heard what Jari had to say about this race. Wait and see, very much the Swedish outlook on life, but you can count on it. Jari's going to be making this as hard for Nicholas as he possibly can. Here we go, the tension mounts, rolling to the start line. Jari Koller first in pre-stage, Nicholas Anderson follows him in. Here we go, waiting. Who's going to make that move? Jari Koller rolls forward. Nicholas Anderson follows him on the green. Well, both cars got away well, but look by half-track. Nicholas Anderson, we riding car with him, takes the win, pops the chute. And you'll notice those cars almost kept station all the way down the quarter mile. Nicholas negotiates the curve at the top of the hill. Has to have taken the win on reaction times. Slow motion will tell, as you can see, very little to choose for. A .50 for Connolly isn't going to cut it with the Wolf in the other lane. Nicholas Anderson takes the win. A .45 reaction, a 7.26 ET.
It was very close, I think so. I don't know what is the time and what is the reaction time. It was tough, I think so.
After round 3, this is the leaderboard. Anderson leads by some 87 points from Malmgren. The rest are closing in.
Now I'm standing in front of Barry Sheevel's car, which is being packed up and sent home already. But we'll move into the finals now with Tommy Happonen against Britain's Alan Jackson.
Robin Reed unable to make it for the semi-final. Al Jackson took a bye run, a 12-second run. Tommy Happonen earned a bye, could have been number 2 qualifier. Got lane choice with a 7.07.
This weekend going very well, and our car works good and everything is fine.
Al Jackson, of course, came from the ranks of Top Fuel Funny Car and Top Methanol.
I'm looking forward to it. We're making plenty of horsepower. We've just got to learn how to calm it down a bit for this track. We've had a few lucky breaks this afternoon, but that's the way it goes.
The pressure always on for the final. All that carbon fibre gear atop the hat. Very popular in the States right now. Tommy Happerton runs with the Peter Lance kit up there above the engine. Everything designed to get lots of air into that supercharger.
That's going to be a very close call. Tommy Happerton's run very well all the weekend, but with Bill Schultz tuning Alan Jackson to the way he's been tuning him, Alan Jackson's going to take that race.
While we wait and see, this is really second final for Al Jackson, first final for Tommy Happerton in '99. The pressure no less in Top Fuel, obviously a lot more, 5,500 horsepower in each car. Trying to nudge it forward with very delicate movements of the clutch is not easy. Here we go, Al Jackson rolls forward. He's the first man into pre-stage. Tommy Happerton follows him into pre-stage. Here we go. First into stage is Jackson, followed by Happerton. Well, and the green, both cars away together. Tommy Happerton smokes it down. Jackson takes the win. Wow, what a turn-up for the books. Happerton had to be the favourite. But look at this in slow motion. A 56 reaction for Al Jackson. Tommy Happerton runs a quicker time, but the reaction time takes the win for Alan Jackson.
It felt real close. I saw his nose about three-quarter track and I just kept it nailed. And when it actually came down there, they told me I'd lost, but subsequently I have won. So I'm over the moon.
Well, there's a happy man. Alan Jackson closes in on Gordy Bodin at the top of the leaderboard. And for the rest, all to play for in the next round.
So after a weekend of blistering heat here in Sweden, it's almost been too hot to go drag racing. In Top Fuel, Alan Jackson has closed the gap on Gordy Bodin.
And in Pro Stock, it looks like Nicholas Anderson is leading all the way, leaving Michael Malgrim with a lot more than luck to catch up on.
We kick off with the racing action in Top Methanol Funny Car. First race, Leif Helander and Leif Andreasson. Of course, Helander a winner here in Sweden in 1998. Don't forget, we're burning methanol now, not nitromethane. And methanol much kinder to engine parts, though you wouldn't imagine that looking at the cars going through these enormous smoky burnouts. That is the car of Leif Andreasson, Pontiac Firebird, carbon fibre body on that car. And a welcome to Russ here in the commentary position. Do you have a favourite in this one, Russ?
Hi, Graham. Well, I guess that Leif Andreasson won't be happy with this draw for his first race in the quarterfinals. Leif Andreasson still in the hope of winning the championship this year. Leif Helander won here last year, so it could really overturn Leif Andreasson's plans.
Well, the spirit of the Vikings always comes through for Leif Helander, a long-time competitor, and every year he hints that maybe the driving chore is going to be handed to his son, little Leif. But that hasn't happened yet, and as it is, Helander always casts a big shadow over the other lane. As we've said, knows how to win here at Mantorp. Andreasson, of course, is the man in second place in the championship, and the Camazo Tools car is a very, very difficult car to get by. If Andreasson is first out the hole, then I think Helander can wave this race goodbye. Here we go. Helander first into pre-stage. Andreasson straight in at the green. Nothing to choose, side by side at half track. Look at this for a race again. Helander looks to take the win. Wow, what a great race that was. Side by side all the way down the track.
You can see that Helander there on the left lane as we look at it wanders down the track right out of line, so he must be powering through past Andreasson, which is a big upset for Leif.
Well, look at that, a slower reaction time too for Helander. He's through into the next round. The man leading the championship over in that left-hand lane, Michael Kagarad, the Quaker State Chevrolet Camaro, and he's racing new man, Ulf Leanders, with the ex-Runefjell Top Fuel funny car chassis with the Mustang body. Has to be said, Russ, this is gotta be Kagarad's race, hasn't it?
Definitely, and because Leif Andreasen has gone out already, Mickey will be seeing this as a chance to really consolidate his position in the championship.
Well, let's not forget, Kagarad on home ground here, hails from Linköping, just down the road from Mantorp Park. This is still going to be a race that the Quaker State team take very seriously indeed. Into pre-stage, both cars. Leander stages, Kagarad follows him in and trails. Well, look at this, a half track. Oh, I thought Kagarad was going to lose that one. Something breaking on Leander's car, Russ.
Excellent reaction time by Leanders there, 0.45 of a second. 0.62 by Kagarad, which is really bad, but then obviously something goes wrong with Leander's car.
Well, I think Michael had become a little bit of a spectator at that point. Bit of a let-off for Quaker State. Into our next race, Dan Larsen with the Danske Firebird. And he's racing Diesel Krivan, of course, from Switzerland, with the Dodge Avenger Power Pack car. Well, Russ, do you have a favourite in this one? This is a hard one to call.
I've got to go for Dan Larsen. These guys are quite evenly matched, but from past performance, I put my money on Dan.
Well, Diesel Krivan, I think, has been improving all the way through 99. Looks like it's been the team's policy to take in more events this year. They were very much on the periphery of Top Methanol Funny Car, but I seem to see them at more and more events. Well, the crew chief's work is over. You see now they hand over to the boss man, the driver. These carbon fibre replicas, look at that. I think Larsen went before the tree ran down. Well, that's the reason Krivan's so far behind. Let's take another look at that one, Ross.
Well, I think the starter held them for quite some time on the line there. I'm not sure, but certainly Dan was out of the blocks there too quick.
Well, don't forget these cars launch using a clutch. Maybe Larsen expending too much energy holding down that pedal, had to let it go. He loses. You can see this is the way the semi-finals are. Leif Helander on a bye, Miki Kagarad and Diesel Krivan. Well, let's take a look at these fire-breathing monsters here. Top Methanol funny cars. The fuel, of course, is descriptive in the class. Speeds are over 230 miles an hour, and these carbon fibre-bodied race cars get there in under 6 seconds. Well, very similar performance for the Top Methanol Dragsters, but now you're talking about a long wheelbase on that chassis. Very similar engine components, 500 cubic inches the limit, and we're looking at 240 plus miles per hour in under 6 seconds from these 3,000 horsepower machines.
Well, the weather here in Sweden is fantastic. We've got great conditions for a race day. It's so hot there's not a cloud in the sky, which can make it a little uncomfortable for the drivers in their cockpits. Nevertheless, here at Mantorp Park, we're set for a great day's racing.
Let's get underway with the first round of racing of Top Methanol Dragster. Jarmo Roivas, the man leading the championship, with a bye run in round one. The rest of them looking to make some points up on this man with the Cat Dragster. As I said, a bye run in the first round. Always an option open for the drivers, though, Russ.
Well, Jarmo, obviously a #1 qualifier, has taken the advantage here, and he'll just cruise through to the semi-finals. The question is where Peter Beck will lie after the quarter-finals. We mustn't forget that Dave Wilson and Peter Chauffeur are still very much in the hunt.
Well, indeed they are. As we were saying, the options open to the driver. Do they have enough information on the computer for the car to be competitive? We're going to find out now and watch the actions of Jarmo Roivas on this bye run. If he just runs to the 60-foot mark to save parts, then they've got all the information they need, and the answer is they take it to half-track. Well, no, all the way through. Well, that means they are conscious there's a good lane and want to get lane choice in the next round of racing. Well, in this first round then, the next race up, Dave Wilson from the UK, and it's been all changed for Dave and Messrs Redstone and Glendow too.
Dave Wilson almost running the quarter mile there on his burnout. I'm not sure why he goes so far up the track there, Graham.
Well, I don't know, maybe tied in with those special carbon fibre parts on the car, the piece of equipment that's become known as an air dryer, high up there above the supercharger, out of the disturbed air that the car causes as it goes down the racetrack. And if you can imagine how much air is being gulped in through that scoop, that is what the supercharger requires to enable enough fuel to be mixed into that engine to make 3,000 horsepower. If this all holds together, we're going to see a Brit through into the semi-finals. Well, the questions are going to be the same. Is it going to be a half pass to save parts? But the answer is, well, more or less there. I think the Glendow, Redstone and Wilson team are quite happy with the Nemesis car. Here's the man everybody fears, Peter Beck from Switzerland. And up against Peter, first time out for Morten Jørgensen, a new name for us to conjure with in Top Methanol Dragster. Peter Beck, of course, has to be considered one of the most consistent top alcohol stroke methanol drag racers in the world.
Well, I would say that Peter Beck is definitely going to take this win, but of course complacency can lead to mistakes.
Indeed, don't forget we've already seen a very confident Michael Kagarab become a start line spectator. Here we go, the car's rolling forward into pre-stage, goes Beck. Jørgensen follows him in. Who's going to be the first into stage? Well, this is where the driver has to concentrate. Jørgensen rolls right through stage. Peter Beck stages and gets the green light. That's the end of Jørgensen's race, and a fairly elementary mistake, but don't forget, a very steep learning curve for these drivers, particularly in the FIA Championship. The pressure's really on that start line.
Well, you can see here that he's just completely rolled through stage to red lights, which I think took him by surprise. But they're handing the victory to Peter Beck.
Well, indeed, quite rightly, a very, very precise manoeuvre. Only 8 inches to roll the car forward on that start line between pre-stage and stage. From Germany, Peter Schofer. And he's got the man who's become a bit of a dark horse in the championship for 99. This is Eero Kilpeläinen. And we still know very little about this man from Finland. Other than that, it's a very quick car indeed. Peter Schofer, we know all about that small block Chevrolet engine cowering beneath that enormous supercharger. You're going to pick a winner this time, Ross?
Well, ordinarily, of course, I'd go for Peter, but Eero has got a reputation as somebody who can pull some surprises out of the bag. So I definitely think Peter's got to watch out.
Well, we may not have a CV for Kilpeläinen, but I'm sure quite a few of the Methanol Dragster drivers are getting to know this young man very well indeed. They've certainly seen an awful lot of him, not only in qualifying, but in the eliminations as well. The crew chiefs fuss about their chargers. As you know, they're now going to move away. Peter Schofer takes the car into pre-stage. You get a nice close-up view of the power plant there. Who's going to be the first in? Well, Kilpeläinen has been hanging back and letting the men he considers his peers go into stage first. The same applies. Into pre-stage goes Kilpeläinen. Now then, who's going to be the first to stage? The revs go up on the car. Kilpeläinen in, Beck follows him. Here we go, the race on the green. Well, nothing to choose, but Kilpeläinen looks to be behind at this point. Oh, Schofer slows, hands the win to Eero Kilpeläinen.
Well, I can only assume that Peter had a problem there because he was away from the lights much quicker, or what appeared to be quicker
well,
anyway.
Look at this, Russ, at half-track.
But half-track he appears to click off and Eero goes through.
Well, saving engine parts maybe, but look at this for semi-finals. Jarmo Roivas and Dave Wilson, Peter Beck and Eero Kilpeläinen. We go to Top Methanol Dragster, and those semi-finals we promised you, Jarmo Roivas and Dave Wilson, Peter Beck and Eero Kilpeläinen. The first of those races then. Here is the man leading the championship, Jarmo Roivas, with the big smoky burnout and that enormous air dryer on top of the Nemesis car for Dave Wilson over in the left-hand lane. This is going to be a close race because I think the Nemesis team have been gathering momentum throughout the year.
This is almost worthy of a final, Graham. Dave Wilson, as you say, is very quick. Jarmo is very quick. Both these guys will be aware that the heat this weekend has meant that they've had to change the setup on their car to take into account the change in air density and also the traction on the track. But both of these men will want to be away from these lights extremely quickly.
Well, not only to win the race, but I think at the other end to get out of those fire suits. Don't forget both drivers with the big Nomex underwear on already, the balaclava, the neck brace, the helmet, the gloves, the boots, you name it. Everything is just too hot to be wearing. Here we go on the green. Well, Dave Wilson looked to be out ahead first, but look at Jarmo Rivers go. Takes the win on the finish line. That's oh so close. Well, that was almost too close to call.
A great win by Jarmo as we move into our second semi-final here. Peter Beck versus Eero Kipalainen.
Well, Kipalainen, one or two of the drivers are starting to look a little bit sideways at this man now. The car, an ex-Tony Donges car, as we look into the office of Peter Beck from Switzerland. Well, Kipalainen seems to have one or two of the secrets of getting the car very quickly down the Mantorp surface. The heat seems to be affecting him less than the others. So here we go. Maybe this is going to be a turn-up for the books. Who can tell, Russ?
Well, there doesn't seem to be a favoured lane this weekend at Mantorp Park. On the cards, I'd say Peter Beck's going to take the win, but Eero's definitely on form.
Well, no messing about. Peter Beck straight into full stage. Eero Kipalainen makes him wait a millisecond and then heads him out away from the start line. Well, what an incredible hole shot. The Finn takes the win and Peter Beck watches him go all the way down the quarter mile. Jarmo Rivers racing that man, Eero Kipalainen, in the final of Top Methanol Dragster. Well, if the modern-day engineering used to propel these race cars down the quarter mile can be described as works of art, then I'm sure you'll agree with me as we take a detailed look at the components of these funny cars and dragsters, that the amount of effort that goes into the appearance of these specialized machines is well worth a second look. Take a look then at the Top Methanol funny cars, the final Leif Helander and local boy Michael Kagerad. Well, enjoy this unusual view as we peer into the working office of Leif Helander.
He's hard to race with, but we have met lots of times, and the last time here it was my favor, so we hope to go our way this time too.
Take a look in those steely blue eyes, Michael Kagerad here on home turf.
It's a very hard man to beat, Leif, and it's like I don't have any tactic for him because he's very clever on the starting light, and I must do the best job I can do.
A pre-final word with FIA promoter Keith Bartlett.
Going all Swedish final. Michael Kagerad's home track. He knows the track. He's raced here for years. He tests here. Leif Helander, yes, it's his track, although he travels a bit further. Michael's just on such form with a crew that are really willing him on to win the championship this year. I'm very confident that will go to Michael Kagerad.
Well, I wouldn't know which way to put my kroner on this one. Leif Helander, well, looks like problems in the burnout. Helander, like a good pro racer, knows something's broken on the car. To avoid getting oil onto the racing surface, has put the car over to the guardrail. Well, comes out of the escape hatch. Leif Helander knows his race is over.
Well, the speed with which he got out there, Graham, I thought there may have been a fire in there, but actually I think the blower belt has broken.
Well, I think Leif's been around drag racing for long enough to be able to analyse exactly what's happening with the car. Michael will be well aware of the situation over in that right-hand lane. The chief starter will have told him this is a solo in the final. What a shame, I was looking forward to this race, but I'm sure Michael will pull all the stops out for the fans anyway.
Easy run here for Michael Kagerad, and this is going to mean that he's going to extend the lead in the championship over Leif Andreasen.
Never let anybody tell you there's no driving job to do in these Methanol funny cars. Michael going anywhere but straight away from the start line. Manages to gather it all back together at the first gear change and powers the Camaro through to take the win, 6.25.
94 was the last time I won at Mantorp here in the final. Yeah, that's right. I feel it's very good. I feel sorry for Leif Lander that we didn't have the race, but anyway, I'm very pleased with this weekend.
While taking a look at the leaderboard, Michael Kagerad now in the lead by 65 points, and the rest are closing on Leif Andreasen. We go to our final of Top Methanol Dragster. Jarmo Roivers for Finland, Eero Kilpeläinen, a countryman. Well, the unfamiliar face of Eero Kilpeläinen, this is his first final, as far as I'm aware, in Top Methanol Dragster, and I'm sure that the pressure will be getting to him. Story quite different in the other lane. Jarmo Roivers, he's been here before.
I think we never race again. I think that race is very close because Eero's drive very fast and we drive also fast, but I don't know. I think they're very tight.
As they go through the burnouts, is there going to be anything to show on the form for this final? In effect, Kilpeläinen really is coming from behind. Roivers has got it all to do. Let's have a word with FIA promoter Keith Bartlett.
Wonderful. In his first season, he's really doing well. The team have really picked up the pace. Jarmo Roivers, I'll be very surprised if he's beaten.
Well, maybe with the temperature being so high, that extra nervous energy of being a nervous man in his first final is going to be the little boost that Kilpeläinen needs to get round this man Roivers.
Well, of course, Eero's got nothing to lose. There's no point playing safe and going for second. He's going to be coming out of these lights as quickly as he can to get the win here in Sweden.
And I have to say, I don't like it when a driver has time to notice the cameramen round the car. I think Roivers may be going to be very confident with this one, but I think that may be his downfall. We'll see as both cars roll forward. This precise manoeuvre onto the start line. We've seen Kilpeläinen be the man second into pre-stage, and again that follows form. Roivers rolls into pre-stage, Kilpeläinen follows him in. Is Kilpeläinen going to be the first to stage? Well, the revs come up on the cars. We stay looking at that. In fact, Kilpeläinen first into stage. Roivers follows him in at the green. Well, look at that. A red light for Roivers. Well, what a surprise. Kilpeläinen takes the win. Wow, who was feeling most pressure there? The answer has to be Roivers.
Well, that's incredible. Jarmo Roivers, Mr. Cool, forced by Eero there to sort of jump the lights. You can see it. He was way out in front, Graham. I mean, I'd be interested to see what his reaction time is there. That's like incredible. 0.4 of a second is the quickest you can go, so he was at least 0.3 of a second too quick.
Well, amazingly, even after that real turn-up for the books, Jarmo Roivers retains the lead in Top Methanol Dragster. Peter Beck in second place.